Welcome to Purposely Peaceful. I'm your host, Jessica Rivera, a licensed marriage and family therapist and a quantum hypnosis practitioner. This podcast is where real life meets inner peace. You'll get honest conversations, practical tools, and soulful guidance to help you live with more clarity, calm, and purpose. Let's dive in. If you've been following along with this core belief series, this is part 3. And I say you really need to hear episodes 5 and 6 so that you can get the most value about how important our beliefs are. Because we've been peeling back the layers on beliefs because it shapes everything that we do. Today, we're diving deep into the beliefs that either build or break our sense of self-worth. Because here's the truth. In order to have lasting peace, we have to have a healthy sense of worthiness. I want to share more about my personal journey with self-worth. I did mention it in my introduction in episode 1, but I wanted to expand a little bit further because there are some powerful reflections during that time that helped me shift from self-neglect to self-respect and how you can start doing the same. So let's get into it. Before I dive into my story, I want to share this. Self-worth isn't always loud and flashy. It's quiet. It's in the choices you make when no one's watching. It's the way that you talk to yourself when you mess up. For so many of us, we've been taught to equate our worth with productivity, with constantly giving, with selflessness, and being available to others at our own expense. But here's the thing. Self-worth isn't earned. It's remembered. It's about unlearning the noise that told you that you had to prove something first, that you had to give, do, or be someone before you could claim your worth. For a long time, I didn't even know what self-worth was. I didn't realize it was a belief that shaped how I lived, how I parented, and how I treated myself. It wasn't something that I was taught to recognize in my own life. The shift began when I had children. I knew, without a doubt, that they were worthy. They deserved love, safety, peace, and stability. But that truth came with a deeper realization. If they're worthy, I'm just as worthy as they are, because I'm the one caring for them. They valued me because in those early years, I was the only stable parent in their life. I only wish that I had known that I had value regardless of whether or not I was a mom. But that's what it took for me to see it. By becoming a mom 3 times over. That was the turning point. Something had to change. Our life had to change. My children became the mirror that helped me see I deserved more too. But let's be honest. Growth isn't a straight line. I still had old beliefs running the show. That what others needed mattered more than what I needed. That I'd eventually have time for myself, just not now. Or the classic, I don't even have time, so why bother? And sure, this happens because life. We get busy. We pour ourselves into everyone else. But I started realizing, yes, I can help others, but it doesn't have to be at the cost of myself. Self-worth isn't a one-time realization. It's something that I had to practice, like a muscle that needed strengthening. Not by neglecting my responsibilities, but by shifting the way I showed up for me. I had to remind myself over and over, I'm worthy. Some days it felt unnatural, like by giving to myself, I was somehow taking away from someone else. But I kept choosing it anyway. And over time, it got easier. I started building proof that I could hold both, love for my family and care for myself. This is where my beliefs in self-neglect and self-respect collided. When I finally believed I was worth it, everything shifted. It was no longer about waiting for the perfect time or the perfect partner or the perfect anything. First and foremost, I had to respect myself. Self-respect isn't about perfection. It's about honoring yourself enough to make choices that align with your values and your well-being. It's about setting boundaries, saying no when you need to, and recognizing you are worthy of time, care, and love. Self-respect is treating yourself with the same kindness and dignity that you would offer to others. It's a practice, one that requires you to show up for yourself, even when life feels messy or uncertain. It's also about not tolerating certain behaviors or situations that diminish your self-respect, and having the courage to walk away from anything that doesn't honor your worth. So, what does it feel like when we finally believe that we're worthy? What shifts in us when we truly embrace that we matter, just as we are? When you finally start believing you're worthy, it's like a fog that lifts. It's that lightness in your chest that tells you, I'm enough just as I am. Being worthy changes how you think. You begin to make choices from a place of abundance, not lack. You no longer think you have to earn love, respect, or peace. Instead, you trust that you deserve them just by existing, by being. In your life, it starts to show in how you set boundaries because you no longer have to tolerate what you once did. You start to change how you spend your time and how you treat yourself. You stop overexerting yourself to gain approval. You start saying no without guilt. And perhaps most importantly, you start resting without wondering if you're doing enough. When we operate from a place of worthiness, our decisions become clearer. We make choices that honor our own needs just as much as the needs of others. And this, my friends, is where true peace begins. When you know you're worthy of the life you desire. There is no dream too big because if it's been on your mind, it's there for a reason. But that doesn't mean it's always easy to get there. The shift takes time, practice, and unlearning all those years of telling yourself that you aren't enough. Becoming worthy also means you're on a journey of growth that is usually far outside of your comfort zone. This can be where people get stuck in fear, but we'll talk more about that some other time. Let me just say this. Sometimes we have the belief that if we take time for ourselves, that makes us selfish. But taking time for yourself is not selfish. The truth is, if you want to thrive, not just survive, you have to invest in yourself in different ways. So let me make this clear. Selfishness isn't because you are taking care of yourself. Selfishness is only thinking of yourself at the expense of others. There's a big difference. The belief that you're selfish if you rest or you don't deserve time if others need you, that belief is not only outdated, it's damaging. Because if you don't prioritize your needs, then who will? You are worthy of rest, worthy of hope, worthy of the time it takes to heal and dream again. Sometimes those lessons show up in the chaos of everyday life, but it's up to you to notice them. Life is always whispering something, but you have to choose to listen. That was one of the most personal lessons that I've learned, but the journey didn't stop there. There was a deeper belief that I had to face, one that challenged me to see myself through a different perspective. This was a new chapter of worthiness in my life. Let's imagine for a moment when everything in your life is going the way it should, but maybe something inside you still feels a little off. Maybe you're feeling drained, disconnected, or even a bit lost and without direction. Have you ever been there? I certainly have. I remember a time when I felt like I was doing all the right things, taking care of my family, working hard, being present, but there was still this nagging feeling that I was missing out on something bigger, something for me. At that point, I realized I had also been putting all my worth in the roles that I played, rather than who I was deep down. But there's another layer to this. How many of us equate our worth with the career that we have or the money we make? How often have you heard someone say, oh yeah, I just got a job at this one place and it's amazing and the benefits are great and the pay is great, so I'm doing all right. I want to challenge here. Is that a valid belief? It wasn't until I stepped back and I asked myself, am I enough outside of what I do and how much I can earn? That's when I started to see the truth. My worth isn't tied to my title or a paycheck. It's not about the external measures of success. That shift wasn't easy because I had worked so hard to get to where I got. It meant letting go of the belief that my value was tied to my achievements. It meant choosing myself in moments when I felt like I should be doing more, earning more, or proving more. It was a hard realization at the time, but it opened up a whole new world of possibilities for me. Not just how I saw myself, but in how I saw the world around me. It was in that moment that I felt my personal power awakening. I realized that I could be worthy and valuable just because I am, not because of what I do or how much I make. When I started seeing myself as enough, everything began to shift. I became more grounded in who I was and less obsessed with what I could prove to myself. The belief that I am worthy has shifted my life, my relationships, and what I allow myself to dream about. It awakened something in me, my personal power, the belief that I deserved more, the belief that I didn't have to keep settling, the belief that I could create something better, not just for me, but for everyone I love. And that's the power of beliefs. They don't just shape your mindset, they shape your future. They shape you. So let me ask you, what beliefs are holding you back? What beliefs are keeping you small? What beliefs are you avoiding just because they feel unfamiliar or scary? One thing I hear a lot, I just don't have time to do this kind of work. Trust me, I get it. I still don't have enough time to do it all. But the truth is, doing it all is what burned me out in the first place. I've learned that not everything will get done, and guess what? We'll survive. There might be dishes in the sink, text messages unanswered, toys on the floor. But if that means that I invested in myself, a healing session, or just an hour of peace, heck, even a moment of peace, then I'm proud of that choice. Sometimes life throws us curveballs that we weren't ready for, and that's okay, because I profoundly believe we will figure it out. Everything is figure-outable, even your beliefs. To wrap up these last few episodes on core beliefs, let's reflect on where we've been. We explored those deep-rooted thoughts that shape our lives and influence us, how changing them can transform our story. We uncovered the invisible beliefs that sabotage our peace, showing us how they keep us stuck, especially when we neglect ourselves. And in this episode, we focused on self-respect and self-worth, learning that true inner peace comes when we believe we're worthy of time, care, and love, and showing up for ourselves by setting boundaries and walking away from what attempts to diminish our value. So if you've been waiting for a sign to start believing in yourself again, this is it. And if your inner critic tries to argue, just tell her, girl, sit down. We're busy being worthy today. Take care of yourself. You are worth the time, the love, the effort, and then some. So dream big. Now, in the next episode, we're diving into something even bigger, our highest potential. I'll be sharing one of my favorite stories, one from a client who broke through limitations that she never thought possible. It's a beautiful reminder of how stepping into our true worth leads us to a life full of purpose and potential. You won't want to miss this one. If there's anything that you have found that is helpful, please take a moment to subscribe, follow, and leave a review. And share this episode with anyone who you think needs to hear it. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. I hope something here met you right where you are. This podcast is for inspiration only and not a substitute for therapy. Please reach out to a licensed professional if you need support. I'll catch you on the next one.